So even the legendary J.K. Rowling is not immune to being canceled. Staff at J.K. Rowling's publishing house are refusing to work on her new children's book over her relentless anti-trans tirade. Remember, kids, if you don't think that transgender women are women, you are a bigot, and you shouldn't be allowed to work on a children's book. You are ignorant as to the plight of the transgender individual. Like, sure, they may have been born with a penis, but they cut it off now, and they are totally 100% a woman. Just unbelievable. So it's really interesting how this keeps happening. Like, every time any one of these people, it doesn't really matter what your political alignment is, because Joe is very much a liberal. It doesn't really matter what your political alignment is. Like, if you do anything that's considered like basically anti-woke, or do anything essentially based in red pill, like, suggest that transgender women are men, right? You're going to get in trouble. So these people are trying to fuck over J.K. Rowling for no reason. J.K. Rowling's anti-trans views have reportedly prompted staff at publishing house Hachette to threaten to stop working on the production of her children's book, The Ichabod. That's a good plan. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's not work with one of the most well-known children's book authors in the entire world. Let's completely shun the idea in order to push this narrative that transgender people are you have to enable their bullshit. Hachette is apparently facing an internal war after those who disagree with Rowling's position on trans rights staged rebellion during a meeting, the Daily Mail reports. A source told the Mail, staff in the children's department at Hachette announced they were no longer prepared to work on the book. They said they were opposed to her comments and wanted to show support for the trans lobby. You really shouldn't do that. Those people are never going to be happy. They're really no different than, like, the rioters, really, when you get right down to it. Like, they're responsible for their own problems, and they just won't take responsibility. They said they were opposed to her comments and wanted to show support for the trans lobby. Another source added, it was a handful of staff, and they are entitled to their views. If they are being asked to edit a book on domestic abuse, and they were a survivor of domestic abuse, of course they would never be forced to work on it. While this is a children's fairy tale, it is not the end of the world. They will all be having chats with their managers. Ooh, I wonder if that's a thread. It's just, ugh. I really wonder how this is going to go, because again, this kind of goes into one of the weirdness aspects of it. Is like you're seeing a lot of these companies like forsake actual profits in favor of, like, shitting on certain demographics, straight white men in particular, and increasingly white women. I think that's where the whole Karen meme comes from. In order to, like, defend trannies, defend the LGBT community as a whole, take the rioter's side, when they're out there committing crimes. It's kind of bizarre to see this happen, and I do suggest that you don't support companies that do this, because it is completely unacceptable to cancel someone, well, because of their personal views. Honestly, okay. The Ichabod publisher defends freedom of speech. Hachette also faced staff action in March when its New York office walked out in protest at the decision to publish Woody Allen's autobiography, despite his daughter, Dylan Farrow, claiming he molested her as a child. The publisher issued a statement in response to the Daily Mail story, saying that although it supported its staff's right to expression, it did not support any attempts to boycott authors whose views outside their writing were contrary to their own. Based in a red pill. That's surprising. We are proud to publish J.K. Rowling's children's fairy tale, The Ichabod. Freedom of speech is the cornerstone of publishing, a statement said. Yeah, they really want to crack down on it. They really want to, like, use this whole hate speech thing to really come down on people with certain political views and certain worldviews. They are really, really, really trying hard to, like, prevent people from, bringing up the reality of, the black community, the trans community, the LGBT community as a whole, the feminist community to an extent. Like, you can't criticize these people right now. Well, you can, but you're probably going to get fired for it. Probably. They really do try to come after you and try to prevent you from finding work because of your political views, and it really is downright unacceptable. We fundamentally believe that everyone has the right to express their own thoughts and beliefs. That is why we never comment on our author's personal views, and we respect our employees' right to hold a different view. We will never make our employees work on a book whose content they find upsetting for personal reasons, but we draw a distinction between that and refusing to work on a book because they disagree with an author's views outside their writing, which runs contrary to our belief in free speech. So they would just get someone else to work on the book if they were really that offended by her. But that's not good enough. Like, that's not good enough for these people. Like, they don't want Rowling's views on transgenderism to exist, period. Like, if you don't accept the narrative, by the transgender people, by the transgender community, that it's perfectly normal, natural that these people are totally women, man. Like, you're a bigot and you shouldn't be taken seriously. J.K. Rowling's anti-trans views criticized by Harry Potter stars. Yeah, we don't care about the stars. I don't care what celebrities say about anything. I'm tempted to almost skip this, but it is Harry Potter. So, J.K. Rowling has been promoting her new children's book, The Ichabod, over the past 2 months by asking children to send in illustrations of each chapter, which she responds to on Twitter. This included one instance on May 29th when the British author, 54, accidentally tweeted, "Oh no!" This included one instance on May 29th where the British author, 54, accidentally tweeted, "Fuck up some turfs," in response to a 9-year-old's drawing. She swiftly deleted the tweet and later apologized for a cut and paste error. The Harry Potter author has been wildly criticized for posting a string of anti-trans tweets and then publishing a 36-word blog post about explaining her position on trans rights, which has been widely derided as transphobic, as well as poorly timed. I really want to read this. I might as well read it now. I was wondering it. How long can I keep this going? Those criticizing J.K. Rowling's views have included many of the stars of her famous franchise, including Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, and Katie Luong. I don't really care what Emma or Daniel thinks. Or Cho Chang. I didn't like you. What did she say? I don't know. I guess we might as well look at all of them, since we're covering the story. In her personal essay expressing deep concern about trans rights, Rowling also disclosed that she is a survivor of domestic violence. Is she really? Disclosed? Like, from her first husband? Is she making that up? Like, you would... I would not be surprised, but at the same time, it's like... I hear these stories so often, I'm so skeptical of them. Like, I have seen it happen way too many times, where women basically abuse the idea of being a domestically... Tabloid newspaper The Sun then tracked down her abusive ex and platformed him with a front-page story. This was strongly condemned by domestic abuse charities and led to more than 60 trans and non-binary activists signing an open letter to the newspaper demanding it apologize to Rowling. Though her disclosure of domestic violence comes in the middle of a long post detailing her anti-trans views, this is nothing to alter our unwavering solidarity with all survivors of domestic violence, including J.K. Rowling, the open letter said. We stand alongside J.K. Rowling in this cruel and malicious reporting. What is this? Some kind of... Staff at J.K. Rowling's publishing house are away. J.K. Rowling wants you to think any cis man can simply get a gender recognition certificate and live as a trans woman. She's wrong. Trans Harry Potter fans plead with J.K. Rowling to read her own books and learn a thing or two about unconditional love. What the fuck? What are you talking about, you fucking... you fucking degenerate? Like, even reading these headlines is ridiculous. I can't get enough of, like, how these headlines specifically tell you what to think. Like, she's wrong. Like, it's just, read her own books. It's laughable. People who believe these headlines are just sheep. There's no getting around it. If you follow celebrity culture, you're an idiot. Trans author Juno Dawson perfectly explains why white billionaire J.K. Rowling's scathing tweets are anti-trans. Wow, this white woman is going to condemn another white woman. They're really going after white women, aren't they? That's really going to come back to bite them because without white women like enabling them, they're really not going to have a leg to stand on. They're really not. White women are kind of the entire centerpiece of like the whole SJW thing. Okay. Trans author Juno Dawson cleanly unpacked J.K. Rowling's controversial comments on trans people that have blistered with tension since Saturday evening, June 6th. Amid a series of cascading tinderbox issues, from the coronavirus pandemic to the Black Lives Matter demonstrations, you mean the riots where they're destroying entire cities, as well as less than a week into LGBT plus Pride Month. Oh no, the plus. Oh no. Oh, is LGBTQ too ridiculous for you? Rowling, 54, decided now was the perfect time to hit that send button and tweet about trans folk. Rowling's Twitter has, over the last few days, well, she's been doing this for a while. She's pretty based about this, actually. Rowling's Twitter has, over the last few days, been a series of cartoon doodles from fans of our book series. They keep on, but compliments toward children's crayon work took a turn Saturday night. Yeah. If sex isn't real, I've already talked about this. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. Well, there isn't, but if sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability to many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate, to speak the truth. Look at how many likes that guy. The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences, is a nonsense. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you're discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. It's becoming an increasingly familiar sight for trans folk, watching Rowling comment on their lives. Her actions, which have stirred reaction, have in the past been called middle age moments by her representatives. Wow. As a result, British young adult fiction writer Dawson broke down Rowling's remarks, which have erupted into a Twitter firestorm, calling Rowling's choice of words linguistic pretzels. She wrote, "We're in a global pandemic. We're protesting police brutality and racial injustice, and the most famous author in the world is twisting linguistic pretzels to say trans women are not women." It's not hard to say that. I'll say it right now. Trans women are men. Okay. We're in a global pandemic. We're protesting police brutality. You're not allowed to point out basic biological facts about men and women. We're in a global pandemic. We're protesting police brutality and racial injustice. And the most famous author in the world is twisting linguistic pretzels to say trans women are not women. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I can't believe I'm going to have to block her for my mental health. Oh no. I imagine I blocked her alt account some time ago. She put a polite veneer on her words. I'd like to break down what she's saying. Sex is real and unchangeable. True. Trans women are therefore male. True. Single sex spaces therefore must exclude biological males. True. Trans women can't access public life. That is what she's saying. She didn't say that. Sex is real and unchangeable. Yeah. It's really interesting. When you have one person basically addressing these problems, people freak out. You kind of had this with me and my Black Lives Matter rants, where I'm talking about like how these writers are complete pieces of shit who aren't doing any good for the world at all and are essentially domestic terrorists, right? I was talking about this organization. Of course, like a lot of people didn't like that, but one person, right? It really only takes one person to point out really basic facts like this, men are men, women are women, trans are whatever they were born as. You can't transition to another sex. Like, it's not complicated. She knows and loves trans people and claimed that the idea she hates trans people is nonsense. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. She capped off the thread. Of course, how trans people are experiencing surging rates of anti-trans violence, more than 33 have been murdered in 11 years, activists say. Lawmakers returnedly rescinding or delaying pro-trans policy, which is driving some trans folk to suicide. They would commit suicide anyway because they're complete fuck-ups in pretty much every aspect of their life. Just look at Laura K. Dale. The constant slashing of already threadbare trans healthcare, the daily onslaught of erasure, how prison systems treat trans inmates humanely. You don't want men with women. According to Watchdogs, the death of trans voices in politics, and media outlets dubbing trans people as extremists and rapists. None of these are reasons to march, we guessed. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't take the transgender community seriously. I don't think anybody does. Out of, like, all this shit, I think people do respect trannies the least. And for good reason. They are complete trash. Again, like, LGBT people aren't really any different. It's just more obvious with trans people, I think. Really, the transgender community is a great way. Looking at the transgender community is a great way at, like, really seeing the problems with the LGBTQ plus community as a whole, because they're just insane people who have deluded themselves into thinking this. What does that shirt say? Like, trans rights are human rights. Oh, go fuck yourself, Emma. You're completely irrelevant. You're 30 years old. You're unmarried. You don't have any children. Your film career is declining. Your sugar daddy Weinstein is in prison right now, or at least he should be. Nobody cares what you have to say. Harry Potter star Emma Watson comes out swinging for trans rights after J.K. Rowling doubles down on gender-critical tirade. You know, the only reason you're famous, J.K. Rowling. You're shitting all over her. You're not supportive at all. By the way, based Ivana Lynch, Luna Lovegood actually defended Rowling to an extent. Forever proving she's actually somewhat of a reasonable person. Like, it's kind of interesting. She's very much pro-trans, right? But she's so much more reasonable about it than a lot of these other fuckwits. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't agree with Jo, but you shouldn't, like, call her a terrible person because of her opinion or something along those lines. From what I understand, like, again, if Ivana stayed skinny, like, she would still be a prime wife. All right, she has the personality for it. I'm just saying, she has the heart, which I suppose is the most important thing. But Emma Watson restored the eroding hopes of Harry Potter fans Wednesday night, June 10th, when she shattered her day-long silence towards J.K. Rowling in her tirade of anti-trans tweets, while the British author of the Blood Children series issued a meandering essay that nobody asked for on her opinions towards trans rights. Yeah, an essay calling you out on your shit. Watson's take on trans rights was sweet and to the point. Oh, she had the right opinion. Trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are, she tweeted to her 29.1 million followers, which is more than double Rowling's. Oh no! Emma has more followers than Rowling on Twitter. Oh, that makes her so much more relevant. Ugh. I'm sure like half of that, I'm sure all those followers aren't just people hoping for sexy photos or whatever, like thirsty dudes. I'm sure trans people. I want my trans followers to know that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are. Would you fuck a transgender man? No, of course you wouldn't. You're a complete piece of shit. You're a hypocrite. You're just virtue signaling. That really needs to be said more, I think, is that, like, this is virtue signaling. This isn't a real opinion. You know what I mean? Like, these are people who want to have the right opinion and be praised and given attention for it. It's really amazing. I don't believe that a lot of the Black Lives Matter supporters actually care about Black lives. They're in it for the attention. You know what I mean? Like, so many brands, independent creators I know, have sort of attached themselves to the Black Lives Matter label in order to generate funds for their businesses. And I'm aware of more than a few scams. You know what I mean? So to me personally, it feels like completely ridiculous to see this continue. All right. Emma Watson and J.K. Rowling. I want my Rowling, once known for her stoop-setter approach to trans topics, has now become a strident commentator, prompting film stars Daniel Radcliffe and Eddie Redmayne to disavow the writer. Who the fuck is Eddie Redmayne? Wait. Many wonder when Watson, 30, would do the same, considering she's long been an advocate for trans equality. Okay, so she's only 30? I thought she was a little bit older than that. She's only 5. Yeah, she's not that much older than me. Oh, wow. Weird. Lee's call to action. Not me, I didn't. Harry Potter star praised by thousands for supporting trans rights. And I'm shitting on her, and only my opinion matters on this channel. Okay. Okay, who is this? Fantastic Beast star? Oh, who the fuck cares about the Fantastic Beast star? Daniel Radcliffe declares trans women are women in response to J.K. Rowling's anti-trans tirade. I don't think anybody cares about what this motherfucker thinks. We need to support trans and non-binary people, not invalidate their identities. Yeah, whatever. What does Cho Chang have to say? By the way, is it just me, or is has Cho Chang of all fucking people aged significantly better than literally every single one of these child stars? Maybe it's because she's Asian, but Ginny looks like shit, Luna looks like shit, Emma's hitting the wall. I mean, I never liked Emma to begin with, or Ginny all that much, but I didn't like Cho. If anything, I would say she's more attractive than she was back in the day. Okay. In the wake of criticism pelting J.K. Rowling over her comments on trans people this Saturday, Harry Potter readers reignited debate over the author's racial stereotyping in her books. What the fuck is she talking about? Cho Chang, a witch who attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft. I know who Cho Chang is a character in Harry Potter that has long ratcheted tension regarding Rowling's representation of black, Asian, and minority ethnic people. Fuck you. There is nothing wrong with how Cho Chang was portrayed. She was Harry's love interest. He wanted to pork that bitch. She fucked Cedric Diggory. What is racist about that? Shit, Cho Chang is an awesome Asian. You know what I mean? She's legit cool. You know what I mean? I love Cho Chang. Is a character in Harry Potter that's long ran. Okay. Many critics have slammed Rowling's move to name the only Asian main character in the 7-book-long series stretched across 4 Cho Chang. What is wrong with that? Cho Chang is awesome. Fuck you. She named the Weasleys, the Gingers, weasels. Oh, they're all weasels. Oh, no. Weasels are bad. Red hair is bad. Oh, that's a stereotype. No, that's the same kind of logic. There's nothing negative about the way Cho Chang is portrayed at all. She is a perfectly well-respected character. Again, she has her personal issues to get through, but she's a teenage girl, with problems, you know what I mean? Her fucking boyfriend was murdered by Voldemort. This girl just... I feel bad for her. I don't look at her and say, oh, that's racist. Fucking bullshit. So you want my thoughts on Cho Chang? Okay, go. Oh, no, what does she have to say? She empathetically rallied for black trans lives. Oh, yeah, fuck white trans people. It's all about the black trans people right now. She shared an array of donation pages for black LGBT... Oh, wow, black LGBT organizations. Wow. It's not even enough to be LGBT. Oh, no, we have to support the blacks. We have to support the black community. And pride groups as well as petitions for calling for British lawmakers to better protest black trans women. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is she secretly based in red pills? Oh, no. Yeah, we gotta protest these black trans women. Yeah. How long is this retarded shit gonna go on? I'm so... Donate to these organizations to support black trans people? Yeah, I'd rather keep my money, thank you. Asian lives for black lives. Wait, she wants to sacrifice Asians for blacks? What the fuck does that mean? Katie Long went with wave of praise for supporting black trans women. I don't care about this. I want to see what she... Let's see. Wait, I wanted to see what she said about Cho Chang. Okay, wait, hang on. Okay, what did she say about Cho Chang? So what are my thoughts on Cho Chang? Okay, here goes. Thread. Are you going to say the only reason you're... Wait, what? That has nothing to do with Cho Chang. That has nothing to do with Cho Chang. Yeah, fuck you, Katie. Alright. Irrelevant actress that was never all that relevant to begin with. Even Emma isn't that big of a deal. Alright, yeah. damn, that was stupid. Like, so fucking dumb. All right, so I don't know, like the riots against J.K. Rowling are like the most ridiculous thing. Okay, not as bad as the Black Lives Matter protest, to be sure, but I mean, it's going there. You know what I mean? It's going in that sort of direction. You know what I mean? Where like people are actively condemning people for, certain individuals, who have no business making these kind of statements. Actors and celebrities and people like that. Condemning other actors and celebrities for knowing what they're talking about, essentially, or having an opinion. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even allowed to like suggest that, like, oh man, maybe we need to keep real women in mind when it comes to like dealing with trans issues. No, we just have to give trans people whatever they want. Like, it's pretty short-sighted and ignorant, I would say. It's really no different than the Black Lives Matter protests with the whole, like, we need to get rid of the police. And then when you do that, you end up with the Chaz, and you end up with a bunch of dipshits, like, basically killing each other, not being able to farm, not being able to do anything. Like, completely retarded communist community. You know what I mean? Like a communism community in Seattle right now, unless it's been disbanded. And I don't know why it hasn't been disbanded yet. Really, it's just, it's really unsustainable. It really is. Like, you have a bunch of people who have been deluded, basically led to believe for years that like certain political practices are possible. Communism, socialism, shit like that. We should be given free stuff. That certain things were out of their reach. I have to go to like an Ivy League school to get a good job. They're taught like all this crazy shit about like sex and gender and just what transgenderism is and how homosexuality is perfectly okay. It's not true. A lot of this shit basically all this shit that I see these people rant and rave about, about the police, about the black community, about trans people, about like the LGBT community, like it's all complete horse shit. You know what I mean? Like, these people are just are unable to deal with their own reality. You know what I mean? Like, they're unable to in the simplest possible terms, they've sort of convinced themselves that everyone else is the problem and that like everyone should sort of work to make their lives better, to make lives to pander to them, and that keeps happening until society collapses, because what these people want is completely fucking retarded. Like, again, like wealth, we're talking like shit like wealth redistribution, lawless societies, people being able to go to places they shouldn't, like men going in the women's restroom, like things like that, like really serious sort of like societal breaking things. You know what I mean? Like, that are just going to lead to a collapse of society. And you can't really appease these people. I keep seeing people, giving money to Black Lives Matter and things like that. You can't appease these people because they're always just going to demand more. Like, you really should just not pay attention to them at all. And I think it's an opportunity for me in particular, because I think more and more people are getting disenchanted with like these big media companies. So it's becoming more and more possible for indie creators, indie game designers, indie novelists like myself, and indie artists, indie comic designers, indie comic book creators to sort of find their own niche and sort of put themselves out there, when these sort of people would have refused to allow us to even even work on projects, even ones that we wouldn't have direct control over. It's really strange. Anyway, I'm rambling, but like these corporations, they need to be brought to task. Like, they really need to be condemned for their actions, what they've been doing, their role in destroying these cities, the media. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter. People basically need to stop enabling trans people before it starts becoming a similar kind of disaster we're facing now with the black community. It's probably going to be like more intimate than with the black community. It's going to be like children getting raped, getting sexually exploited, things like that. Being forced to become something they're not. Like, of course, like transgender activists are always trying to push themselves in schools and stuff like that to try to get people to transition and try to convince people that it's normal. It isn't. Again, it's pure propaganda. It has no basis in reality. There is no such thing as transgenderism. There simply isn't. And I hope that most people understand that. I hope most people, I hope casual observers start to wonder, well, why is Joe not allowed to even suggest this kind of stuff? Shouldn't we be protecting women? Like, that's Joe's entire argument. That transgender women are getting in the way of feminism. Trans women are getting in the way of actual feminist issues and the experiences that women have every day with domestic abuse from men. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the less you're allowed to question these narratives, I think the more people are going to start to question it, or going to want to question it. Like, really, it feels like most people are in this phase where, they're just going, okay, if I ignore it, maybe it'll go away. It's just a fad. But, no, these people are just becoming more and more insane. I do think our end goal, as I don't know what to call myself. I suppose a conservative in this mindset. A conservative would be to again criminalize homosexuality, get rid of trans people. I suppose reopen mental hospitals, treat these people humanely to get their bizarre desires corrected. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? If anything, I think it's probably better than trying to get these people to live a lie. And that's basically what the transgender community is as a whole. It's living a lie. And that is not at all that impressive or respectable.